Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel for another video. Today I am bringing you guys the long-awaited and anticipated end of the year curriculum reviews. I've decided to put all 4 of my kids in this video so that I can kind of give you guys my very brief thoughts and my opinion on if I would use it again or if I wouldn't, and share all of that in one video for you guys. And I want to thank Zookeeper for sponsoring this video. So this will be the last time, if you've watched my channel for years, that I do an end of the year curriculum review for all 4 of my kids. As many of you guys know, my oldest daughter has recently graduated our homeschool, and next year my son will be following her and he will be a senior next year. So we are going through all of those major life changes and transitions, and all of that is definitely a part of our homeschool. I say that to say that sometimes the opinion that I might have on a curriculum may be reflective of the current life season I'm in, and my opinion of it may have been different years ago or at another time in the future. So I just want you guys to keep that in mind, but I am going to run you through literally everything, and rather than gathering all of my kids' physical books and trying to hold them up for a visual, I'm going to try to pop in like pictures of it so that you guys can see what I'm talking about when I talk about it, and then I'll link to everything down below in case you're interested there. So first of all, let's talk about some extras and additional things that we did in our homeschool this year that were outside of what I would consider to be my kids' everyday, day-to-day, grade level, ability level curriculum. So the first thing that I want to touch on in this video is World Watch News. We start every single day with World Watch News. It is a Christian journalism, and it is incredible. We absolutely love it. I highly recommend World Watch News. After we finished our World Watch News this school year, we went on to our daily gratitude journals. And in January, when I launched my very own gratitude journal, all of my kids and myself made the switch over to my journal. My kids have used tons and tons and tons and tons of different gratitude journals in our homeschool since I started. Doing a daily gratitude journal with them has been something they've done in their homeschool their entire lives. And I can confidently tell you guys that my journal is the absolute best. It has so much depth to it. It has scripture memorization woven in, and it really helps you and your children learn how to apply God's word to your daily life and keep a space to be reflective and be used by Him. So love my gratitude journal. After gratitude journal, we would move on to our family Bible study. At the beginning of the year, we were doing some different ones, but towards the second half of the year, I switched us over to John MacArthur's study on Revelation. And this study is probably one of my favorite Bible studies I've ever done with my kids. It was just so huge to study this book with them and to engage them in conversation, and for them to be the ages they are and understand the book of Revelation much more clearly than probably most adults is not my work, but the work of the Lord through the study of John MacArthur. So I would highly recommend any of John MacArthur's Bible studies on books of the Bible. I've done Romans, I've done James, I've done Revelation, I've done Galatians. I think he has a study almost for every book of the Bible. And we absolutely loved Revelation. And then following it up with that, we did some type of Christian apologetics reading every day, whether it was from a more science book, which was talking about the instincts that God has given us, or if it was out of our Master Books course, which was book volume 1 of the World Religions and Cults. And I highly recommend this. Now, the Master Book set comes with 3 books, volume 1, 2, and 3. And I don't know anyone who could get through all 3 of those books in one singular school year and really dig into it and digest it. There is so much information. So we did not do any worksheets with that. We simply read the books, talked about it, and we finished volume 1. Next year I'll be doing volume 2 with my 3 remaining kids, but we did volume 1, and I would highly recommend that. Along the line of extras in homeschooling comes today's video sponsor, which is Night Zookeeper. If you guys have been watching my channel for years, you've probably seen my older 3 kids using Night Zookeeper, and now my youngest daughter is kind of aging out of it, but it doesn't matter because we absolutely love it and used it for many, many, many years. Night Zookeeper, if you're unfamiliar, is an award-winning creative writing platform for kids ages 5 to 12, and even my 13-year-old still to this day enjoys getting on there and playing games. There are so many different games that your kids can play that reinforce their writing, creative writing skills, reading, grammar, spelling, punctuation, and even computer literacy. When your kids are on Night Zookeeper, they are not just wasting time being on a screen. They are actually learning and engaging their minds. And I wanted to bring them into today's video because many of you guys watch my channel as moms of younger kids. And so I can't recommend Night Zookeeper enough for you to be able to work on school with your other children and have something for your other kids to be doing that is productive and reinforcing things that you're working really hard to teach them. And I also wanted to mention it because of summer break. 30 minutes a day or 30 minutes every other day can be really helpful when it comes time to get back into school, whether you homeschool or whether you public school. It really doesn't matter. Your kids, as they progress, will earn coins that unlock different lands in Night Zookeeper, and they will just have an absolute blast on there. So if you guys want to check them out, I have a 50% off discount link that is in the description box. There is no code, it's just that link, and that will get you 50% off of your subscription to Night Zookeeper. They also have a multi-sibling discount plan, which I utilized for many years. So if you have multiple kids, you can save money. So they each have their own account and their progress is recorded for them and not lost by a sibling maybe doing something wrong, or it keeps track for you that way. So when you click the link down below, you will automatically get that 50% off plus a 7-day free trial. So don't miss out on that offer. We have absolutely loved Night Zookeeper for all of the years in our homeschool, and I'm happy to give them a 5-star review. Highly recommend Night Zoo. So continuing on with my review of kind of extra things in our homeschool this year, one extra that we did basically all year round was an apologetics class that I taught for our homeschool group at our church. Now, these were middle and high school aged kids, and at the most, I think we had 18 kids that were a part of this class. So it was a pretty good turnout for our small little homeschool group. I didn't have the choice in what I was teaching because my church already had some of these studies and had previously used the videos. So the church already had the materials. But what this study was called Foundations, and it was by Ken Ham. And if you guys know Ken Ham, he's the founder of Answer in Genesis and Master Books, Answers in Genesis. They're kind of like interwoven. And so we had done a lot of Ken Ham studies previously. Ken Ham writes for Master Books, has tons of his books available there. He's also the creator of the Ark Encounter and the Creation Museum, which we visited. And so we're very familiar with Ken Ham. So when I saw the book, the Foundations book, I thought to myself, oh man, like we've pretty much gone over all of this. I don't know how much more my kids are going to get out of it, but then I wanted to teach the class. I wanted to serve others. And so I said, you know what, I'm just going to do it. And I can tell you guys, that this book was fantastic. Now, we did watch the video and do the study guide, and I think you can figure out how to purchase that, but my church already had it, so I didn't have to buy the videos, so all I can link down below for you is the study book, but it was really, really amazing. And so even if you think you've taught something enough, it's always worthwhile to go back through it. And it was very fruitful, and it was really great to see my kids who did have more experience and more knowledge on the subject matter be able to share with friends and just engage in thoughtful conversation. And so that was really great. Another thing that we did this year that was a bit of an extra was around Christmas time. We used Campfire Curriculum's study on A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. We listened to the audiobook and we went through Campfire's unit, and we absolutely had a blast with this. I almost forgot that we did this, and as I was gathering my list for this video, I remembered how we laughed at all the different voices, and we just had a really good time doing that study. So I would highly recommend Campfire Curriculum's I think they call it a novel study on Charles Dickens' book, The Christmas Carol. We learned a lot. Keeping with Campfire Curriculums, I didn't teach it, but my friend did. She borrowed it from me for the use of all of our kids for a state study. So she chose different states throughout the year to basically read from Campfire Curriculum's unit study, do some activities, and then have some themed food. And what teenagers do not love themed food? They all really enjoyed that, and that unit was very helpful for her. So I would definitely recommend Campfire Curriculum's geography, the 50 states. They're really well done. All right, I think that covers about all of the extra things and kind of like the stuff we did outside of grade level specific things. So now I'm going to start with my youngest daughter, who was in the 7th grade. So if you are wondering if I would recommend it, have your pen and paper handy or the notes section in your iPhone ready to go, because I'm going to go through these pretty quickly. I'm not going to do in-depth reviews. I'm just going to do it briefly. Okay, so the first thing that my youngest daughter in the 7th grade did was Living Healthy by Master Books. This is a health course that is designed for upper elementary, early middle school, and the information is great. I would highly recommend this course. We enjoyed it. Some of it was a little more on the elementary side that she skipped over, but overall we did enjoy this course, and I would recommend it for those upper elementary and early middle school years. The next thing that my youngest daughter did for the 7th grade was new to us this year, and that was using Generations Science Curriculum. We went with the level called God Made Life. So we used this Generations Curriculum for science this year. Now, I did not do a ton of research on it. I actually saw it at a homeschool convention I was speaking at last spring, and it just looked really good. And so I decided to pick it up. And since I had it on my shelves, I decided let's go ahead and use that for science this year. Now, I do not want to say anything negative about it because it was very good. The information was great, but it just didn't work well for us. I definitely felt like it was more of an apologetics worldview study with like a focus on scientific topics rather than a specific science curriculum. And what it was really lacking was hands-on stuff. They did have hands-on activities that were listed in there, but a lot of them were not applicable and easy to gather and easy to do, and it didn't work well for us. We did the whole course. It wasn't so terrible that we, stopped in the middle, but it just wasn't my favorite science course, not because of the content, but because of the layout and I don't know, it just was not what I had wanted. So I would probably pass on it if it were up to me, but the information is great, so I think it would be fun to read the book, but I would probably just do it more as like a read aloud type book versus a science curriculum. The next thing that I did with my daughter in the 7th grade was for history. And this year I took a break from, a specific history course with her, and I decided I was just going to have her read historical fiction, which I got from Sunlight. So Sunlight has amazing books, and I wanted her to learn history this year through literature. And so I ordered D+E, just the readers, and that is early American history, and I think that it was the right choice for her. She loves reading, and so that is what we did. We did not do a history worksheet. I didn't quiz her on history facts. Simply reading amazing books of a certain time period, and it was great for her. So I would recommend that if you want to approach history in the same way. For math this year, we went with the Good and the Beautiful Math Level 7, and it was a 10 out of 10 for us. It works so well for her, and it was just fantastic all around. A lot more independent. This year I noticed a pretty big jump in her abilities, and so I would definitely recommend the Good and the Beautiful's math. Along with that, she did the Good and the Beautiful Language Arts Level 7, and I have used that language arts with my other 3 kids previously, so that is, it's just the best. And so that is a 10 out of 10. I always appreciate all that's included in the Good and the Beautiful Language Arts. So much is covered in just their language arts curriculum, and I absolutely love it. And then for her elective this year, because she was in the 7th grade, I wanted to bring in some kind of elective option. We went with BJU's ASL program, and it was a video, obviously, that she's watching, and she really enjoyed it, and she learned a lot from the course. Now, this course is listed for 7th grade and up, so you can use it for a high schooler foreign language, but she really, really liked it, and I saw a lot of retention when it came to it, so I would give the ASL course from BJU my absolute 5 stars. It was awesome. All right, moving along to my son, who was in the 9th grade this year. For his elective option, he chose to do forensic science from Master Books. Now, I thought, okay, I know this says science on it, but we can kind of make this like an elective option. It's very much a science course. So if you were to use this, I would definitely use it as a science course, because there were labs in every unit, and the information, obviously forensic science, it's a topic that is not really talked about much, especially from a biblical worldview. And so that's what drew me to it. Also, being a law enforcement family, these are subject matters that come up in our house often. And so I thought that this would be a good fit for him, and he wanted to read and learn about it. So he definitely learned a lot, but there was a lot that I had him skip simply because this wasn't meant to fulfill his science credit. He was already doing another science course. This was strictly to be an elective. So when it came time to doing a lot of the applications and labs, those were just not necessary for him, and it was just going to create too much of a workload. So for future reference, if any of you guys want to go with this, there are 2 things that I would do differently. The first would be I would utilize the video options that Master Books Academy offers on this. I think that would have been helpful to him, and he also stated he thought that that would have been helpful. And then I would count it as a science, not an elective, because it is much more of a science than it is an elective course. For history this year, he used World History from Knotgrass, and I've used that with my 2 other kids prior. We love that course, and World History is probably the time period of history he knows the least about. He knows so much history. It's kind of laughable that he even needs to take a history course, but world history was some of the stuff he definitely hadn't studied in depth, and so we really enjoy the way that Knotgrass lays out their history. It's very straightforward and can be just a history course on its own, or you can utilize the Bible and the English components of the course, but we just used it for history, and I definitely recommend it. For language arts or English this year for 9th grade, he was in The Good and the Beautiful Language Arts 1, High School 1. And I've done that with my other 2 kids, so the course is very familiar. I highly recommend it. Really, really love it. Although this year for him, the transition of having the days laid out exactly what he should be doing to navigating doing 10 units and keeping up with it, that was a bit more of a challenge, but I think that is just like a personal thing. So if you ever have a child that kind of struggles with that, what you can do, and what I'll be doing next year for him moving forward, we'll be putting dates of completion on the outside on a sticker that I want each one done by. So that will probably be helpful, but the course is fantastic and we love it. For science this year, he did physical science with BJU. My older 2 kids did the same course. It is a great course taught by Mr. Harmon, who is super fun and engaging, and physical science was awesome. The only thing I can say about BJU is the lab kits. The lab kits are expensive and they don't include everything you need. So sometimes that can be frustrating because you're paying, you know, several $100s and then you get a lab kit that doesn't have everything you need in it. But the course itself is amazing. BJU's science is, I personally think, the best out there for high school, and all of my older kids have done it, and so we're really familiar with it. But I do wish that they could fix those lab kits to where it would have everything in a bag with the lesson on it. That would just make things so much better. And then there really wouldn't be an even better option. But even with the difficulty with the labs, highly recommend the course. Very, very well done and adequate for high school. For math this year for 9th grade, he was in Shorman Algebra 2 with geometry. So that is a pretty high level math for a 9th grader, and he did amazing. He worked really hard this year. Shorman math, I've used it with my older 2 kids and will continue to use it. It is truly the best math program out there, in my opinion, for high school. And I have proof when it comes to college and SATs. So I feel confident saying that. But that is the math course he did, and I would highly recommend it. Very, very well done math from a biblical worldview. And really great, no matter if your child excels at math or is more of a reluctant math student. It works well for both kids. You just have to change the way you utilize it. All right, moving along to my son in the 11th grade. So this year he did some dual enrollment courses at Masters University so that he would be earning college credits along with a few high school credits. He did really well. I would highly recommend, if you're looking for a dual enrollment option, checking out Masters University. They are on the more expensive side from what I have seen, but the biblical worldview, the sound theology, and the courses are really just incredible. Everyone there we went to visit in person that we encountered was amazing, and so I would highly recommend the Masters for dual enrollment for your high school students if that's something you think they would be interested in doing. Now, moving to the courses that I had him taking, the first one was he did Spanish 3 with BJU for his final year of foreign language. Now, I used Spanish 3 from BJU with my oldest daughter, and she completed it, and it's a Spanish class. It doesn't have to be life-changing and life-altering when it comes to the entertainment value. However, this son of mine was really, really, really tired of Spanish by this point of year, and so he had all kinds of grievances with the course. I don't know that any of those things are 100% factual, or if it was more of just his opinion, but he was saying that Spanish 3 was mostly just a review of Spanish 1. And so I don't know if that's true or not. To me, it did not look to be true, but that was kind of his opinion on it. And so Spanish 3 for him, he didn't really enjoy the course very much. But again, I used it with my oldest daughter from BJU, and it was she had no issues with it, and I've seen the course, and they're taught by Spanish speaking people. And so I think it's a great course if you have a child that needs to have, 3 years of a foreign language. There really are not many other options for the homeschooling community when it comes to foreign language, especially for like a year 3 kind of situation. So I would recommend it. I think he just personally was kind of tired of learning Spanish this year. Along with that, for science, he did chemistry from BJU. My oldest daughter did it, and I brought it back again for him this year. I think that speaks for itself. This course is incredibly done. The one thing I will tell you is it does have the lab option, but obviously chemistry, you're dealing with lots of chemicals, you're dealing with fire, you're dealing with heating. And so for my homeschool, we have opted to not do the labs when it comes to chemistry, simply for safety, and just also finding all of those things. So if you have a child that is unable to do the labs, then they can watch them on the videos and still kind of see what they would be experiencing. I do think that it's much better to do it yourself, but chemistry at home is kind of tough. So we've used that chemistry course for my oldest, now him, and then my son will be using it as well in the future, because it is very, very well done. Along with that, for him, he was in Shoreman Calculus 1 this year, and he did amazing with this course, Calculus 1. I'm just grateful that there's a resource out there for these higher, more difficult level math classes for the homeschooling community. And Calculus 1, he did really, really well with it. He has been with Shoreman since his 8th grade year, and so it's just built, and he really did well with his Calculus 1 this year. I would highly recommend that program. And then for his history course this year, I utilized BJU's Government and Economics course. It was recently revised, and that is kind of what drew me to it, because I wanted to find a course that had current information in it. And my kids both really loved the Government and Economics course. It's half a year spent in American government and half a year spent in economics, and they both really enjoyed it. There were a lot of really fun projects and a lot of thoughtful essays that they had to write, and I just really loved that course, and I would highly recommend it. They utilize the video option, which is a great resource, and so in the future, my younger two will definitely be taking that course, so I give it my stamp of approval. And lastly, this year for my daughter's senior year, she had a very light year when it came to what I needed her to complete to fulfill graduation requirements. I'm grateful that I was able to structure her high school in a way that it worked out that way, because this year she was able to do several dual enrollment courses, her enrolled with Grand Canyon University, to the point of where she's graduating with 32 college credits. So she worked really, really hard this year, and the only reason she was able to do those courses was because all of her graduation requirements from me and the state in which we live were completed prior to the 12th grade year. But she did have a few things that I wanted her to do. So she was along for all of the things I talked about in the beginning of the video, but then she also had American Government and Economics with BJU. I already told you guys the course was great, 5 stars, highly recommend. And then I had her do Dave Ramsey's homeschool program for high school. I think it's Foundations in Personal Finance, and she watched the video and then completed the worksheets or exercises, and I think that course was so great for her. And I would highly recommend that all high school students take that course or something like it prior to graduating. It's just really, really important. So I would definitely recommend the Dave Ramsey course. And then along with that, besides her dual enrollment, I had her read a few books that were more for the next stage of life she's going to be going into. So this book right here is called Before You Meet Prince Charming, and she said that this book was one of the best books I ever had her read. And I just think senior year, 18-year-old young woman, these are things that I just want to fill her up with as much wisdom and point her to the Lord in this area as much as I can. It's something that I obviously was lacking in my own life. Praise God that it all worked out and His grace covers everything, but this is just so important. So I gave her this book to read. She read it this year, and I think it was very helpful to her. Another one that I had her read is called The Lost Art of True Beauty. She did not so much love this one, and I think that it's just because it may have come off a little old-fashioned to her, but we had some really good conversations with regard to where those thoughts are coming from, and obviously not getting hung up on the length of the skirt that we should wear and more on the heart behind that. And I just wanted her to think about these things, think about her femininity as a young woman and why God gave that to us. And so I think the book is great, but just be prepared to have some conversations, especially if you have a confident young woman who, you know, is not going to be necessarily told what to do. Sometimes you have to, you know, you got to bring that information a little bit differently. So those were some books that I had her read this year, and I would definitely recommend both of them. So I think that about covers everything, you guys. It sounds like so much, but it's so much easier to just make one video to kind of cover all this. I hope this was helpful. Please give it a thumbs up if it was. Please leave me a comment below. It just helps the algorithm pick up this video and share it with people. I'll link to everything I can in the description box. If you guys have any questions, let me know down below. Also, don't forget to check out Night Zookeeper. That 50% off discount link is in the description, and you guys can save yourself some money this summer and get ready for next school year maybe with a resource that we have used and loved in our homeschool for many, many years. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys again in my next video very soon.